Good morning, everyone. Liz Jeressi, how are you? Give a couple minutes for everyone to join in, and then we have just another wonderful interview today. It's somebody that we had on before, but we had her on for a different reason, a very different reason last time. And she's already here, I think, so we won't have to wait much longer. Let me invite you in, Denise. Sometimes this is tricky if you join too soon. So let me see if I can do this or if it's going to keep freezing. Okay. Let's go and see. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Kimmy's here. Kimmy.
Hi, Liz.
Tuesday. Hi, Denise. How are you?
Good morning. Doing all right. How are you, Liz? Thanks for having me again today.
I'm good. Look, I have on my shirt.
It looks fantastic. I have mine on too. Woo!
We're matching.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you for wearing it.
We have a big story to tell. So first, let me just start off by telling everyone, this is my friend Denise Wunderler, doctor. And before we go on to the present, while we're waiting for more people to join in, because I see people are joining, we had you on in case you look familiar to some people. Was it a month or longer at this point?
I think about a month.
Okay. When your husband, who is an ER doctor, came down with COVID-19 and tried to stay home and deal with it so as not to put the pressure on or take resources away from people that needed it, and fought as hard as he could, ended up in the ER fighting for his life. And we had you on for that reason. So, but as if that's nothing compared to the story that you're going to tell today. That's just a small part. But how is Dr. Mike doing? Let's ask about him first.
Yes, thank you, Liz. So, he's doing definitely much better. When I asked him the other day, what percentage better does he feel of normal? He said about 95%, which is, I know, it's amazing, but it's crazy because he's at 50 plus days since the first symptom. And the fact that he's still feeling negative effects, he still doesn't feel back to normal with this virus. He still can't really smell very well at all. Little bit, I know. And can't really taste very many foods at the moment. This virus really hangs on, but he's doing much better. He's back to work. He has some great days at work. Luckily, what he's told me is that the COVID cases have definitely decreased, which is a positive thing.
Because we've all been trying to follow as best we can the rules. One thing that he said that struck me when I finally had a chance to interview him as he got home to recuperate was that, most of us fear dying, and he doesn't, for a reason that you're going to tell us about. So, Denise, we met you a long time ago, a while back, because of a very, very sad story that you have. But I'd like for you to tell it to everybody that's watching so that they know from the beginning why you're on the air today, why you're coming on now with us.
Thank you. So yes, for those who don't know, our daughter, Vienna Carly Savino, she was 2.8 years old when on November 12th, 2017, she fell asleep watching TV at our home with her older brother and sister, and she stopped breathing and never woke up. And my husband and I were coming home from a wedding, and we received the very frantic phone call from our babysitter that Vienna fell asleep watching a movie. It was, around 7 p.m. And when she wanted to bring her upstairs to go to sleep, to take her into her bed, she noticed that she wasn't breathing. And, it was, unbelievable trying to figure out then what happened, because there was no explanation. We learned from the medical examiner the next day after her autopsy that she found nothing wrong with Vienna, and that we took really good care of her, and that if everything comes back normal in terms of all the ancillary testing, drug screen, everything, looking at her brain, looking at her tissues under the microscope with this, which is pathology, if all that comes up normal, it's going to be a case of sudden unexplained death in childhood, SUDC. And being two physicians, Liz, we had not heard of this, so we were shocked. We said we've heard of SIDS. SIDS are the babies less than 1 year old, where there's no explanation for their death. But how can this happen? She's almost 3 years old. So then we learned, of course, the most tragic way that SUDC is a category of death in kids 1 to 18, up to the teenage years, where these kids mostly falling asleep, not waking up. Sometimes the parents find them in the morning thinking that they're sleeping in. They go to wake them up from a nap, and they look and they see, wow, something is wrong. They're on their belly, their face is down. So we decided then at that point that, we needed to do something, because this cannot be. I mean, seemingly healthy kids going to sleep, not waking up. And as I hear more of this happening to other families, of course, when it happens to you, think, oh my gosh, am I the only one? And then we realize we're not the only ones. We're not the first. We're not going to be the last, very sadly. So that's why, I founded our Families Team Vienna for SUDC Awareness nonprofit, to increase awareness, education, support the research, of which there's very, very little, and hopefully get more people inspired to want to do research and make a change and figure out causes, preventative measures, so we can figure out why are these kids dying. We don't know why Vienna died, but there is a cause. We just don't know what it is. There is a cause. And even 2.5 years out, we don't have a cause for her. She's in a research study. Genetic studies were done. Her brain was examined because she's in the research study and very closely, and still no causes. But we're not stopping. I mean, as genes are uncovered and discovered, there's going to be a cause. We just have to figure it out, and then we can help other kids and hopefully prevent this from happening to other families.
And I feel like this has probably given you a new purpose in life and a way to carry on Vienna's name and memory, of course, but also when you use something that tragic to help other kids, it's got to help you on some level. But it's every parent's worst nightmare. I can't even imagine the guilt you felt just because you went out to a wedding and got a babysitter, that you ever left your home, which, it's impossible for us to all stay home. We, at some point, all entrust our kids. And meanwhile, where other families might have fallen apart, you had 2 other kids that you had to stay strong for. How old are they now?
10 and 7. And they seem to be doing great, but evening times seem to be the worst times, where they may have issues, boo-boos seem to come up, just other issues seem to come up, where I know it's not just whatever they're complaining about. We know there's the underlying factor of their little baby sister's not here, and that's something that is very difficult to handle, because I'm trying to describe to them death, and I mean they're little. I mean, this is the last thing that we ever want to do, was to describe death and talk about it with our little kids. They were 5 and 7 when this happened, we thought that the first time we would describe death to them would be their little snail died or their little goldfish, and one day my parents, the grandparents, which is still sad, but still it's the natural order of life. And then when you have your baby sister, when this happens, and they were right there too. I mean, really, they were within 10 feet of her when our babysitter, was freaking out. And,
Plus thinking, the other thought, especially for a child, is, I can't go to sleep now. I might not wake up.
Yes. And that's been an issue at times, but we try to reassure them the best we can without really knowing why Vienna died. And that's what makes it even more challenging, is reassuring them. But we did take him to a pediatric cardiologist, actually at NYU, and he is one of the researchers within the study for Vienna. So he's really the perfect person, so he knows about SUDC, he researches it. So he's really the perfect person. We're so fortunate to be in Jersey, to be able just to jump on the train and get to NYU, where other families, in the world don't have the opportunity. So we get a great perspective from him. So their heart checks out great, which is always the first thing you think about with any kind of sudden death, is their heart. But the issue with autopsies, though, is that you can't tell if they had a seizure at death, and you can't tell if they had a dysrhythmia, which led to an arrhythmia. So pretty much an abnormal heart rhythm to cause their death. But these are some things where, researchers are looking into this, and very little research is done on this right now. I think less than 40 papers at this point in the literature, and compared to SIDS, over 11,000 papers on SIDS. So that gives you just an idea of just how different it is in terms of how much research is being done.
And it's only been a couple of years, and you know, I see that you do so much now to bring awareness to this topic, and even when you're out, you carry a picture of Vienna, and so your other kids, you know, everybody keeps her so close in their hearts, but still, it had to be hard then when just recently now their father's in the hospital because he's got COVID-19,
Right.
and he's saying, you know, death is not something that scares me because then he'd be with his other little girl, but he fought as hard as he could for his life and survived for these other two kids you have at home. But what your family has been through, and I know you want to thank people in the Homedale, Middletown area, all of Monmouth County that have really been so supportive of you all these years.
Yes, really. People have been incredible and amazing. And, you know, our home area now, Homedale in Jersey and Monmouth County, and also across the country and the world have really reached out to us in support, you know, especially after Vienna died, of course, not knowing what SUDC is, not even knowing that it existed. And then, of course, with Mike, with his COVID journey. And if anyone's followed him on Facebook with, you know, the humor that he brought to it and with a very serious topic, you know, but people really enjoyed that point of view, especially with being an emergency medicine physician, also an Army war hero. I need to also mention too, you know, so he's got a very different perspective than someone else who wouldn't have walked in those shoes prior. And then especially having, you know, every day we're dealing with the death of Vienna. And that's one thing where, you know, child loss is not a finite moment. You know, it's grief, and it's the loss that continues to unfold every single day. And every single day we relive it in some way. And even just the other day, I was writing something about Vienna, about tomorrow, which we're going to discuss eventually. And I typed it, and it was probably 2 a.m. I do a lot of stuff at all wacky times. And I typed it up, and I sat back and I read it, and I just started to tear up because I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe I'm writing this about my daughter. This is my daughter. And I'm 2.5 years out now, and I still don't want to believe that it's true. Of course, you know, I know she's not here. I don't see her. I'm not, you know, taking care of her on Earth, but it's just it's surreal still. It's crazy, and how the mind plays tricks on you.
Do you have some photos you can show us?
Yes, I do. Which ones would you like?
Bring it close. Let's see.
So this is the one that most people probably have seen of her. Her gorgeous little green ears. And these are actually, this is a headband that her big sister had made, and Vienna quickly acquired this as her own. And what's really funny is that over time, the pictures that we take of her, there'll be 2 ears, then 1 green ear, then just the headband, because it kind of fell apart. And what's really crazy too is that, you know, 2 weeks after she died, I found one of the green ears in my hiking shorts.
Oh,
Doctor. Yeah. Yeah. So she put it in there at some point. You know, that's probably what happened. You know, kids stick, I always find things in my pockets, and I was so happy to find that. Then I remember thinking to myself, hi, honey, how big sister.
hey.
So cute. Babe. Want to say hi?
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Good.
You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
When we get back to our studios, we're going to try and bring you in and put you on the radio, okay?
Yay! Awesome. Thanks, Miss for visiting. Bye. Love you. So she's so cute. So I found that first green ear, and then it was a good year or more later where I remember thinking to myself, I wonder where the other green ear is. And we've moved, you know, since she died.
Well, at a house fire or an electrical fire.
It was an electrical fire.
Everything else.
Yeah, that was last summer. Yeah, that was crazy. And then we moved, you know, you know, within about a month or so. So I was thinking to myself, I wonder where the other green ear is. You know, it's somewhere. Oh, maybe, you know, just who knows where it is and all that stuff. Then one day, this was like maybe 5-6 months ago. So now it's 2 years after she died. We were in our van, which we don't really use that vehicle as much anymore. And the kids and I were in and out that day. And then it was like one of our last, you know, errands of the day. I remember looking back, and they're still in 5-point harness. That's how we are. And and just to make sure they were tucked in and they were buckled up. And I looked down on the floor in the van. Her other green ear was sitting on the floor of the van.
All that time later.
Yes. I took a picture. I sent it to Mike. I said, you will not believe what I just found. And the fact that we've used this van a lot over the last 2 years. Mike has cleaned it out. And of course, I'm trying to reason it away. Like, oh, well, maybe it blew in from somewhere. Maybe it fell down. It was perfect. It was flat. It was right in the middle, ready for me to see. It was, I couldn't believe my ears and my eyes.
What a gift, really, right?
It was truly a gift. Yeah. Here's another. This is one of my favorites too, where she's in her. So if you can see the whole thing, so she has red pants, a pink Rutgers jersey, her one-piece bathing suit over top, her big sister's gladiator sandals, all these things in her hair. I mean, she loved this. She was our little fashionista. I mean, really. So
wow.
Fun. And this one too, like she's always playing like peekaboo. I mean, just having a blast, you know. She's just so amazing.
Man, it's just too much. All right.
For all of us, yeah.
All right, so let's get to the reason why we're doing this interview today. Look at the family, that beautiful family. Oh.
Team Vienna SU. Uh-oh, you're paused.
Okay, but we're back. So
we're back.
All right, tell everybody what's going on.
So tomorrow is a really exciting day, and it's really great to, at this point, be excited about something like this. So this is the 3rd annual Vienna's Day of International SUDC Awareness. So what this is a day where people from around the world stop, they exercise, volunteer, maybe they're going to garden, maybe they're going to do whatever. In these days of COVID, maybe do jumping jacks, maybe run around their house or run out in their yard, whatever it is. We're going to be walking in our neighborhood tomorrow. And remembering Vienna and all other SUDC kids gone too soon, and increasing awareness of this. So whether they're wearing a Team Vienna shirt, hot pink, because that's Vienna's favorite color, or whatever they're wearing that day is fine, of course, holding a sign, Team Vienna, you know, Antarctica, and the date, or wherever the person is that day, and tagging me. So either Denise Wunderler, this is where I'm still figuring out some social media stuff, but Denise Wunderler, if you're friends with me on Facebook, or you can also do Team Vienna SUDC Awareness. That's on Facebook as well. So you can post your picture there, or on Instagram, Team Vienna, the number 4, SUDC Awareness. And you post your picture, and then tomorrow, watch the pictures come in from all over the world. And last year, for the 2nd year, we had all 7 continents representing, Liz, and everybody.
That's awesome.
It was absolutely incredible and amazing. And the first year we did this, we actually were at a race in Seabright, and we had 5 additional countries outside of the U.S. supporting all these different places. So it's really cool how it's been growing every year. And this year we hope to attain 7 continents again, even more locations. Last year, I thought it was only 70 or so, but then I recounted yesterday, and we had almost 100 locations last year supporting around the world.
That's awesome.
So
Denise, you're amazing. What you're doing to help other families through this tragedy is amazing. Again, SUDC stands for Sudden Unexplained Death in Childhood. And what else, is there anything else we didn't cover that you want to say before we let you go?
So a new thing that I did this year was back in January. So I contacted a lot of my friends who are native speakers of another language other than English, and asked them to translate my Team Vienna flyer that is for tomorrow in their native language. So I have 25 different languages represented for the same flyer, and I've been posting those on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn over the last 2 weeks, about 2 or 3 a day, depending on what the situation was. And actually a friend of mine the other day just said, Denise, how did you get this accomplished? I said, because it's all native speakers. It's not Google Translate. It's all native speakers, right? And the short answer is I said, well, she's like, you'll have to tell me sometime. I said, you know what? I said, the simple answer is this. I said, I have amazing friends and they have amazing friends and amazing family to make this happen. I mean, really, like that's what, you know, inspires, and so many things inspire me to do more. But knowing that other people are supporting, they want to get in on the fight, and something like translating a flyer, which it's not short. I mean, this thing is kind of long, and it can take a it can take a while for people to translate this, and whether they're sending it back to their native Poland or wherever. I'm sending it to my friend in Nepal, translating it into Nepalese. I mean, and that's the thing where, Liz, you know, this is an international issue, whether people know it or not. You know, it is. I do not want language to be a barrier.
Wow, that's great. I'm going to let you go because it was wonderful talking to you. Best of luck.
Great
Love
talking
to your family.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody supports tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.